surprise, bonus episode time. This is gonna drop after we record our episode. So this is gonna be a weird, like, little matrix thing right now. So we're actually recording Saturday night. MLB's top 100 prospect just got updated, and I love me some prospect talk. So I have asked Dan and Lee to just kind of talk about prospects because it's kind of fun. We're probably going to go a little bit more in detail when they release the top 30 for the teams individually, but top 100 prospects lists they're just fun. It's like really like the kickoff to a new season. It's finally here. Now I just need that dang Super Bowl to get over, and now pitchers and catchers can report, and then my baseball happy mood can return. So with that, it was Dan and Lee. How you guys doing today?
The only thing I want to add to what you just said about kind of spring and baseball on the horizon is hopefully this winter storm we're about to get. By the time you're hearing this, that'll have come and gone, hopefully, and hopefully it just blew away and didn't happen at all. But I'm probably way too optimistic on that one.
Some of
So
us work in a school, Dan, and we would really like a snow day on Monday, so why don't you just shut up?
Some of us go to school, but they're not going to cancel. They can't. Michigan has closed like once since 1975 or whatever. So I still have to go to class at 8 a.m. on Monday.
the point being, there's a big old storm that's about to remind me it's winter tomorrow. So
It's
we're
true.
not that far out of the woods yet, but I like your optimism, Eric.
We're getting there.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, my snow day is actually coming into question. Not that this is weather talk, so maybe, hey, let's talk about prospect. This isn't the weather report, so what the hell are we talking about? No wonder.
Sometime we'll have Mike Trout on and we can talk weather, even though he's not in the AL Central. When he gets in the AL Central, we'll have Mike Trout on and we'll talk weather.
Yeah, when
Yeah,
he's
so
39 and signed for a 1-year deal for the White Sox or whatever.
I mean, Sam is gonna will him into a Royals uniform.
That's true.
It seemed like it's their time for the random former superstar random jersey. The White Sox have had too many with Griffey and Ramirez. Too many.
Yeah.
I guess like the Twins had Tomey, even though I feel like Minnesota did all they could to adopt Jim Tomey. Like
Half the league had Tomey at one.
I know it was great. Love that man.
Immaculate Grid King.
Great
Yeah.
dude.
So, all right. Anyway, so probably the easiest way to do this, we're just going to focus on the teams individually, and then we're going to start with who had the least amount. So I guess if you're looking for a little bit of a countdown on already a top 100 countdown, we're going to start with the team that had the least amount of representation, and then we're going to move ourselves up. So starting up, I kind of thought they would have more than this, but the Royals have two guys. One of them is already in the majors. Carter Jensen, ranked number 18, 60 graded prospect, 60 power, 50 hit. She looks like he should be a starting catcher. Actually debuted with the Royals. Anyone else kind of forgot about that at the
I
end of
kind
the
of
year?
forgot about that.
I was like, oh crap, this guy. And he, I don't know why I forgot it because he had a 941 OPS in 20 games. He mashed. That is kind of horrific if they can turn Caglione around and then Jensen. It's kind of fun. Just seems like a good prospect, all that good stuff. So, yeah.
If Sam were here, he would remind you that Carter Jensen was worth more than one WAR in that small period of time that he was on the major league roster last year. So I know you acknowledged the OPS, but he was off to a fantastic start.
I mean, even not for. I mean, he was pretty solid. What's really impressive to do. He was on two teams in 2025, in the minors. It was what's his OPS? He had a 1051 OPS in AAA, and it was 43 games. I don't blame them for calling it up. It's not like what was interesting is he didn't really have that great of a AA season. 780. I granted, catchers are definitely at a different scale, but. It's kind of interesting that he hit AAA and then decided he didn't want to stay there very long, so he just mashed his way to the majors.
See, it's kind of unfair if the Royals get another home run mashing catcher right after Salvi. Like, that's unfair, right? Can we agree on that? That shouldn't be allowed.
I mean, if the Royals hadn't been the most destitute team of the division probably in its history, I would probably agree with you, but like it might be their time. Like, it's okay. The Royals can have nice things once in a while.
Nah, I don't think so.
Now, if they do it again, then I'll agree with you. So the next version of this, if Carter Jensen,
All right.
then it's getting ridiculous. But I also say that as a Twins fan, who the Twins have had really good catchers. Like not everyone's Joe Mauer, but like between Joe Mauer, Mike Redmond was a pretty decent catcher for them. AJ Przinsky was an all-star, and then the enemy for the White Sox. Mitch Garver, Jeffers is a solid starting catcher. They just signed one. We're going to talk about that when we record our episode later. So yeah, Twins have had a good run with it. But yeah, Carter Jensen just seems like a legitimate guy. The other top prospect the Royals have, number 75, Blake Mitchell. It's going to be a minute before we see him. He is in high A and didn't necessarily do all that well in high A. So that's a little concerning in 49 games that he hit 668. But I believe he was drafted last year.
He only played 60 games, too.
Actually, yeah. So 60 games. He was actually drafted in 2023. Not impressive. So I'm kind of surprised he's still on here. But I mean, granted, like I said, catchers are tough, man. Like, you have to develop at the toughest position to learn defensively and also physically, and then also be able to hit major league pitching. Like, it's not obvious. It's obvious to everyone who listens to this, but that's almost unfair.
Especially today with how much is put on the catchers from a defensive perspective. They're almost like the quarterback on the field defensively now. With all the data that's involved, the meetings pregame, I feel like there's a higher workload now than ever for a catcher, just kind of prep time and getting ready for a game, let alone actually being kind of the captain on the field during the game.
Well, like, not for nothing too. That's going to be added to them because they're probably going to be doing the ball strike challenge system.
That's a good point.
They did right. They've ran the data in Double A and they're in Double and Triple A, and catchers are the most accurate when challenging a pitch. Unsurprisingly, pitchers are the least successful, which I think they were underwater by like 5 or 10%. Catchers were like 55 something, so it's not like they were absolutely consistent, but that just makes sense to me that they should be the ones calling that. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be a minute before we see Blake Mitchell. And also there's no guarantee that he is going to be on the field. Looks like that was one of his stronger tools. Is this fielding 40 power, 55 or 40 hit, 55 power, 30 run, 60 arm. So maybe he will just be backing up Carter Jensen in a couple of years, but it's going to be a minute. So we'll see Carter Jensen. Next up.
Oh, before you move off, it seems like his ceiling would be like good defensive catcher, calls a good game, frames well, and might hit 20 home runs. Like, that seems like what we might see out of Blake Mitchell someday. And the other thing I wanted to mention was I've been very complimentary of the Royals offseason to this point. I think they made some very good moves, just kind of around the margins, improving themselves, turning negatives into evens, zeros, whatever you want to call it. They've taken a lot of bad stuff on their roster and they've made it adequate. The one thing I'll say to their detriment is they've only got 2 top 100 prospects, and they're both catchers.
Yeah,
they have a great farm system. They don't have a lot. It's not like they got some young star in Double or Triple A that they're like waiting on or something.
I think they're rightfully jazzed about Jensen. Like, that's good, but there's not much else going on there. Like,
it's not like he's gonna come on and change the makeup of the team or anything.
Yeah. I don't expect him to be Roman Anthony or anything like that. So it just. As somebody who has to root against the Royals, I feel a little bit better about that part at least. Like, okay, that's a flaw in the organization right now, is they only got 2 guys and they both play the same position and you can't play them at the same time. So
right. When did Getz take over? Was it 2023, 2024?
I think Getz is the Chicago GM.
Sorry, not Getz. Whoever he's fairly recent though, within the last couple of years.
2021 September.
Oh, so okay, so that might be. I mean, granted, they did just graduate Pasquantino, Caglione. They've had Noah Cameron.
I want to for you. Caglione not played very well.
No, he didn't.
Might have butchered that. Like, rushing him to the majors, I don't know if that was the best
He
idea. And I
only
know why they
finished
did it. They
like
were so, uh,
offensive team
they didn't
strong.
have any power on their roster,
Oh,
but
I
I don't
think,
know.
I
It
mean,
doesn't
they
feel
did
like
it just
regret.
because what you said that they know power in on their team, but like they were replacing Hunter Renfroe, who I think had like a top 10 negative WAR in baseball. Like they were scrambling for anyone who could handle a glove and just be adequate at the plate. And I kind of like mind the pun. I don't I kind of like the home run swing. Like I like if you're going if you can turn a negative and you have this hot prospect that you think can be at least adequate or hold his head above water, let's try it. Why not? Like I does that really cause long-term damage to his development? I don't necessarily think so, but I guess that's above my pay grade.
Guess how much war Jack Caglione was worth last year?
Like -7 or something. It wasn't good.
Negative 1.6. It
Yeah.
was not pretty.
Yeah.
Like,
How is he
so
defensively? Because I know people
Not
don't
great.
at all, but
not very good.
Because
He's not really a right fielder, and they're playing him in right field.
I'm pretty sure if it wasn't for Pasquantino, it would be at first.
Yeah.
So like one of them should probably be playing DH, but I still don't want to. I mean, and we've seen prospects too either come up and flail like he did and then never heard from again. But there's no reason he can't figure it out and turn it around. So I don't think he's a
like
wash. I would still be excited for him as a Royals fan.
like Torque had one of the worst rookie seasons we batting wise we've ever seen, but then the next season he hit 30 home runs. Like,
Right.
You know it.
And then immediately went back to like a pumpkin.
Yeah, after that, he came back and hit 30 home runs again. So,
So by the law of averages, Spencer Torkelson is going to hit 240 with 15 home runs and a strikeout rate of about 35 this year.
he's got to alternate years. Yeah.
That's right. And then next year, MVP probably, because why not? But yeah,
I'm being overly negative. Pork was never worth negative 1.64. He was worth half at one point, but
I think
Right.
it was like
Caglione was legitimately
the second or something. But yeah,
the second worst player in the league by WAR last year.
sure.
okay, that's bad. Yeah. My point. I was making a point about players underperforming their first year and then still being able to be a positive.
Right.
I'm
It was his
burying him prematurely, but I kind of feel good about burying him prematurely. That's just me.
Now, Dan, be honest. Is this just because Big Christmas is no longer on the Guardians? You just want to crap on every power hitting young hitter now?
It wasn't, now it is.
Now it is. Well, we'll see. I can't wait for Sam to hear this and then have a Noah Cameron debate, but we'll watch it. We'll get to see him in a couple of weeks.
Cameron, for all the putting him below Colson Montgomery that we've done, Cameron's a good ball player. Like
Oh, absolutely.
that's a good one. Like I'll give them that.
I will
He's
say
been
that is
good.
probably, I guess by the time people know this, what's weird, if you listen to our episode that we're going to drop tomorrow, you're going to know how our conversation went when we dropped this on Wednesday. So like, again, bit of a Matrix moment here, but we just did our top 25 and we just submitted our list. So like right now, Ty is working on the thing for tomorrow. And
That's why he's not here.
that's why he's not here. So he's it'll be fun to watch like how if Noah Cameron and Colson Montgomery are, but like we all submitted our list and I think we all kind of think we undervalue starting pitching individually, but it'll be fun to see how it goes because I think
I will say, without saying which order they were, they ended up right next to each other on my list.
mine too. Well, actually, I think there was another person above it.
Only one of them was on my list.
Oh crap!
Oh no!
I could make an equal case for each of them not being on a list. So like that's a teaser for us.
And the one that made it isn't very high up, but one of them is on, one of them isn't.
Oh, and that's a fair point. I had them anyway. Doesn't matter. We're gonna figure that out tomorrow.
We'll
So
talk about it.
let's move on to the Tigers. Royals, 2 prospects. Maybe you have more depth. You're gonna have surprises going on. Next up, Detroit with 4, which is probably about the average for teams. But I'll say about the Tigers, they're very top heavy.
Yes.
All of them are in double A, except for I can almost guarantee you McGonigal and Clark are probably starting in triple A this year. But let's just
Chris
start.
Rader isn't going to be starting in Double A because he's played like 30 games at Single A. He was injured last year,
Mm,
so
depend. Well, yeah, we'll see.
we'll see. But I don't expect him to start in Double A at all.
So
So
let's start with Briseño, first base catcher. From what Lee has been saying, is the Tigers like to alternate catching and first base duties just to get the bat in the lineup, which is fine. I'm still of the brain that is still a red flag to me, so I'm still trying to calibrate that in my head a little bit because if you're already switching a player from a position that you think they're going to be good at, like if you're already switching off a player from the position you draft them in, they're already sliding down the scale. And with catcher, it's not like they're going to go play shortstop. So it's either first or a corner, or it's either catcher or a corner spot somewhere, typically first base. So it's normally a big red flag for me, but I'm trying to calibrate my mind on that. But 50 grade, hit tool, 60 power, 30 run, 40 field. So I do feel like with Briseño, first base might be in his future, but that's purely going off of the 2080 grade scale off of MLB Pipeline. What he did in double A or a single or high A and double A mashed for 55 games, 1 point for an OPS, and then was just fine in double A, 716. It's probably a little bit under a league average, depending on which league they are in double A. But you can definitely see overall his season was an 883 OPS. We'll see. Lee, what do you think of Briseño?
yeah, I mean, like you said, I'm not really sure about the catcher first base thing because for a while, like he was sharing double duty with Theron Lorenzo at catcher, and Tigers really like him at catcher too. So it's a balancing act, right? Give them enough reps at catching to really try and develop them or see if it's a long term option, but also you want them to still be good taking at bats. So I mean, because the fielding is so low, I don't think he'll necessarily be catching long term, but I mean, we'll see. He might get a spring training invite for because they'll always invite more catchers to spring training than
Right.
position players. So we'll see how that goes too. But I mean, yeah, it's his bat that we're really interested in. So he might be ended up going to a more first base DH role because I mean, yeah, he slugs. That's pretty much his thing, right?
Like,
He gets for a decent average. He gets a good amount of walks, but he slugs.
I mean, not for nothing. He's 6'4", 200 pounds, left-handed bat with a 60 power and a 50 hit. If you want a model for a first base prospect, may I present you Jose Briseño? Right? I know he might pretend at catcher, but yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll see. He kind of struggled a bit more when he was called up to Double A. I mean, he was still getting on base, as you could see, but he just wasn't getting as many the extra base hits and the home runs didn't really come as much.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting is like prospect and like on base percentage is it's difficult to actually like track because you're gonna have pitchers that are just scared of him, so they're gonna pitch around him more to where it's really hard to discern if that's him being patient or if that's the pitchers just pitching around him obvious balls so he doesn't strike or he doesn't swing. So I don't know. Like it's very difficult to track that, especially in the lower levels.
Yeah, but yeah, if you look at his walk and strikeouts, like in single A, high A, he had 41 walks and 40 strikeouts. But then when he was promoted, he had 25 walks to 47 strikeouts. So definitely a bit worrying there. But he's played 50 games at Double A. I'm not gonna 45.
Right.
I'm not gonna sit here and worry over his strikeout rate after 50 games at a Double A level. He just might be a guy that needs to stay there for a year and a half, or something. So
Yeah, I mean, I'd push back a little bit because like if their strikeout rate is high and I mean, probably the biggest gap between like development levels, like low A and high A are pretty similar, but like the gap between high A and double A is probably the biggest gap. So like it is a good proving ground to see like who can act because now if you get out of high A as a pitcher, you can throw strikes, you have command stuff, like you can get guys out without just other than just pure stuff. So it is kind of a proving ground. Now, with that said, he's 21 years old. Like that is probably 2 or 3 years younger than the average competition, which matters very much in minor league baseball. I wouldn't be worried about him, but like the strikeout rate is something that if he can't swing in, if he can't hit double A pitching, it only gets much harder from there. So I might challenge that a little bit, but he has time to figure it out. And also, if he ditches the catcher's gear, he can just focus on hitting, he can shore up some things too. But
Like, I mean, it's not like the strikeout rate is that high. Like, okay, so MLB level average is like 24, 25. He's striking out 27% of the time. So it's above average, but it's not like he's striking out 35% of the time. So
that's fair.
it's something to keep an eye on, but it's not something that like I'm going to sit here and say I'm worried about right now.
No, I think that's fair too. And by the time we get it, I don't want to say you don't need to sit and play Freud, but there's a very divisive prospect in the Twin system whose strikeout rate is not okay. But maybe I'm projecting a little bit. But let's move on to Bryce Rainier, shortstop, single A, 20 years old, 2028, was drafted in the 2024. He was first round pick, 11th overall pick in 2024. 50 hits, 60 power, 55 runs, 70 arm. That's going to be fun to watch. Ooh, I like Bryce Rainier. I'm going to probably watch a couple of his games. Good fielder, just 55 overall prospect, which grades out to be an above average starting player. Lee, what do you know about him?
Yeah, so not a whole lot because he didn't play for very long. He had to get surgery in like May or something. Like he only played 35 games. Like he looked good in those 35 games. He was making good contact, getting on base. He looked good at, but like it's just hard to judge a guy after playing 35 games at a professional level. A high school guy, a left-hand hitter. From what we've heard from Trammell, who works a lot with the defensive prospects, he says his defense looks really good. So Rayner is a guy that it's thought he's probably going to stay at shortstop. Like he looks good defensively. Alan Trammell saying this, So I'm really excited for him, especially if he can stay at shortstop. That would be really nice. Lugano will be at second, Rayner at short. Yeah, I'm not putting too high hopes because again, haven't seen him much. He's like what 19, 18, yeah, like
20.
Okay, he's 20 now, but still really young. But he's got good contact, good defense. He looks like a good overall player who could stay at shortstop long term.
I'm glad you addressed the position thing because with that arm, I was kind of curious. Maybe the outfield was in his future. But if Alan Trammell is saying that he looks good at shortstop, I wouldn't dispute that whatsoever. So,
see, I always thought that shortstop had the strongest arm outside of pitcher, obviously, pitcher and catcher. The shortstop had the strongest arm on the team.
I would say, at least in the infield, it would be third because of the longer throw across the diamond. But I also recently what I've been kind of learning is that I think your best arms are in the outfield typically. But don't quote me on that.
Depends on how there's arm just saying pure arm strength, but it's also being accurate.
Yeah,
shortstop you gotta be more accurate because outfield you just chuck it downfield. Versus shortstop
hit the guy with his arms up
right.
Basically.
Yeah.
And I guess and you guys might be right too, and I'm sure there's somebody who has studied this and there's more answers, but in order to have the throws at short, I mean, how many throws were third base, you're always going towards the base, rarely, or you're always going kind of towards the base, right? Rarely do you ever have to run away from the base and then throw. Where shortstop, if it goes to your right, you're making a longer throw with your momentum going in the other way a lot of the times, where third base, you're typically charging or you are going towards first base when you're making your throw, or your momentum's going that way. So I don't know. I just feel like shortstop, that seems right to me, but what do I know? But
it could also be a duration thing because shortstop makes a lot more throws than an outfielder generally ends up doing.
Right.
I think. Or like they're gonna end up with the ball more.
Well, I also kind of wonder too, like, I know Dan, you were saying like typically outfielders have stronger arms, but I wonder like whenever an outfielder makes a throw, it's with effort, like it's with emphasis. You're trying to throw someone else. Where
True.
like shortstops, you get like you get that slow roller and they can just swing it over. They don't need to go max effort. Where right field, if they're throwing to third base, that's max effort all day long.
Yeah, it's like
So
you
I
gotta
found
plot
it
the mechanics for 3 steps ahead in order to plot out exactly how you're gonna throw it versus short. Yeah.
real quick. I found it. This is arm strength leaderboard from Statcast from this past year. I'll just give you the top 5.
Sure.
O'Neal Cruz didn't play very well in center field, but he was a center fielder last year.
Former shortstop.
Yanquiel Fernandez, who you may have never heard of. I haven't heard of. He played for Colorado last year. He played right field. Addison Barger, one of Toronto's key players in last postseason. He played a little third, but he also mostly played right field last year. Matt Wallner,
I knew
Minnesota
that.
Twin, right field. And then Fernando Tatis, right field. So
Former shortstop.
it does appear that um, and I think there is something to what you guys are saying in that you got to kind of let it rip from the outfield more so. But that's the position where you're going to be able to do that. So the
Sure.
stronger arms, it seemed to be in the outfield.
Yep.
Yeah, it might be where if he ends up like the fielding grade is a little bit lower from what you maybe like to see in a shortstop, but like if he doesn't end up working at shortstop, he could move to the outfield. But like for now, he's got a really good arm. His fielding mechanics look really good. He's staying at shortstop.
Either way, that will be fun to watch because I think Correa, if we would go back, I guess now almost 15 years. God, that's disgusting.
He played as a pitcher too until like senior year of high school, I guess, and then he's focused more on the bat side after that. So he's that's where a lot of the arm strength.
All right. Next up, a very much talked about player, at least on our show. Also, as someone with a lot of tattoos, he's way too young to have 2 full sleeves. 21-year-old Max Clark, 60 hit, 50 power, 70 run, 60 arm, 60 field, 60 overall. Just a stud for the Erie Seawolves. Bats left. In 2025, he played for 2 teams, high A and double A. Kind of just held his own. I think really with him, I guess he is 21. That's probably 2 years younger than an average double A competition. Looked pretty good. He has been talked about a lot because he was drafted with the same draft class as Paul Skeens and Wyatt Langford, and then also Walker Jenkins, who we're going to talk about in a bit. But Lee, how excited are you for Max Clark?
Yeah, I'm excited for him. I'm a little bit not as sure on his hitting as a lot of other people tend to be, because it seems he's very contact based. He's got some slug in him, but he seems like a very contact. And I'm always a little nervous about guys who are like, yeah, they get lots of contact, and it's like, okay, well, what happens when that contact goes away? I'm always a little bit more nervous about it, but he's got really good outfield defense. He's really smart base running too. He's fast as hell apparently, and he's just got like really good like baseball IQ in terms of that. So I'm excited for him. It sounds like they're kind of thinking he might end up. His projection is kind of pushed to 2027, maybe, or like a late 2026. But he could potentially make an impact on the team this year.
Is he a higher ceiling Parker Meadows?
I think I would say that's yes.
How much higher? Like Parker Meadows at his best. Is Parker Meadows an all-star?
Parker Meadows at his best is a borderline all-star. Like he's a guy who would make an all-star appearance like once or twice in his career. Max Clark at his best will be a perennial all-star, if that makes sense. If Max Clark hits his ceiling, he will make the all-star team almost every year. Is that a little bit too high? But I think
It might be a little high, but that's prospects. Dream a little bit. You're allowed.
He was the 3rd pick in the draft. I mean,
He was.
he's the best high school player to ever come out of Indiana, which doesn't say much because it's Indiana.
okay.
Like I said, it's Indiana. So
I am from the great state of formerly great state of South Dakota, but Mike Miller is the best NBA player to ever come out of. But like, let's not be. He was a rookie of the year and he was a solid role player for some championship teams. But let's not get crazy here.
I think
Great shooter.
Great
Max
shooter.
Clark could be the next Byron Buxton type. I think I would say good speed, defense, and hits well. He's all around type, and he doesn't have the injury history. So there you go. Okay,
I have to look, but like Buxton had legitimate 80 grade speed. Like I think we really underappreciate this how fast. Anyway, and I think he had a lot more
the
power.
speed, the defense, and the hit. That's my point.
Yeah, I would. Max Clark is a much better hitter than Byron Buxton would ever project to be. Buxton has a better power, run, and fielding tool. But like also Byron Buxton was such like he was the number one prospect back-to-back years. So like this is really an unfair comparison.
Maybe a little bit, but I was thinking of player archetype.
Fair enough, and that's
the player that they are.
Sorry if I got defensive, but I was like, man, Byron. I think we're really if he is Buxton was a much better prospect than Max Clark, but Max Clark can still be a multi-time All-Star. Like he still can be very successful.
That's the type of player that Max Clark could end up being if he hits his absolute ceiling. That's why I say absolute ceiling be multiple All-Star appearances. Sure. It's the absolute top.
On the flip side, for Clark, with that running ability, with that arm, with that fielding, if that's the ceiling, his floor is pretty high, I have to say.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be hard for him to bust hard because at minimum you can stick him in center field. He's going to catch everything. Like he'll generate WAR in an Andres Jimenez sort of way, where he's just like really good in the field.
Like he could be the next like the Julio type, where it's he's got really good defense, and everyone argues over whether or not he's good enough at bat.
Yeah.
Yep.
Totally.
Like, what I keep saying about Parker Meadows, where if his defense is good enough, he just has to hit for average.
Right. That is such an underrated point because you're right. He's almost like, at worst, he's going to be a start like Kyle Isbell. Yeah. At worst. But I'm going to also guess Kyle Isbell never was close to a 50 power. Like he was probably closer to the 30 or 40 on his tool. But yeah, that's such a good point. I like that.
Also, yeah, like I'm not sure how well his power and bat will continue on, but like I mean, he looked good in Double-A. He barely missed a beat.
You know? I mean, he's 2 years younger than the average. And that I've said that multiple times already, and we've only been recording for a half hour. But like that is such an underrated point. Like if he's keeping up for players who are much older and more mature than him, like that is such a good sign for him just long term.
Yeah, and it's also his social media side. He's very good for the game, I think I would say, because he's active on social media, not in terms of like a Trevor Bauer way, but like he likes showing off his training, and like he'll watch Tigers games and live tweet them, and he'll post about his teammates and that kind of thing. So he's
I don't want to say I prejudged him, but Lee, as soon as you said he was like, I looked at his face paint and was like, yeah, this dude's a jock. Like this is
my complaints about his face paint. He's always like, why do you need that much eye black? What is it doing for you? So
it's war paint, man. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Between that and the tattoos, man.
I tell you.
He's very much a loud personality, which I think will be very fun to see. And you guys will if he's any near as good as we think he is, you guys will probably hate him.
Probably.
That's fine. I'm all right for a new Tiger. I'm ready to hate because I don't know if I have a Tiger I hate. I'm ready for it. I have plenty of White Sox.
I could think of one, but hopefully he'll be gone in a year or less. So.
Oh, I don't hate him, but he will be gone in a year or less. I think this is pretty much all success. Anyway, why are we talking about Tarek Schoolbook? Because Lee can talk about Kevin McGonigal.
Yeah, this is the one that everyone is very excited. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to not get overly excited and also make sense. So the reason we drafted Max Clark and maybe a little bit above slot, was because we wanted to get Kevin McGonigal at the end of that's kind of what it was, because there was a whole thing where when we drafted Clark that people didn't like it, and then he made the cleats where one shoe was just a bunch of negative tweets. And anyway, but the point is, we got both Max Clark and Kevin McGonigal out of that draft. Kevin McGonigal is the best pure hitter in the minor leagues right now. That's not my opinion. That's just a fact. That's just pure hit wise. He has the best contact stuff you will see. He's got good power too. His just the amount of contact he makes is unbelievable. He is ridiculously good. And when he came up he didn't start the season in high A. He started it on the injured list, and then he went down to single A, made some, for like a rehab, came back, hit like crazy, was promoted to double A, and continued to hit like crazy. So he could potentially make the opening day lineup. Potentially. And it was huge asterisk there. Long-term position-wise, the consensus seems to be that he'll end up at second. I'm just going to take that with a grain of sure, he'll end up at second. Right now, he would probably end up playing shortstop because that's where we have a position open to play. But long-term, second is fine. Yeah, so his defense is good enough. Pretty much, it's not the main part of his deal, right? It's the pure hit stuff that gets everyone excited. And I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. One thing I do want to say, because people have spent the entire offseason complaining about the Tigers' ownership and management, right? And people keep saying, oh, they're not going to start McGonigal in the opening day lineup because this cheap ownership wants to manipulate his service time. That's not how this works. When was the last time the Tigers did that? They did not do that with Jackson Jobe. If Kevin McGonigal is not ready for major league stuff right now, he will not. He has played 50 games at AA. Let's not get overly antagonistic if he doesn't start on the MLB lineup.
I mean, it's also, if you want to, if he's top 3 in rookie of the year, he's going to get a full year anyway.
Yeah.
So that does play a part in it. Are GMs still manipulating service time? Yes. Unless it's a pure stud. They could do, to me, it'd be a big jump to go from AA to the majors. It's happened before. I think we can all think of a player or two at the time. Aaron Hicks for the Twins did it. Didn't work out particularly well, but it has happened. It could work for him, but who right now is the starting shortstop pegged?
For the Tigers?
Who?
What? Never mind.
Who is the starting shortstop for the Tigers right now?
Javi Baez, probably.
I mean,
yeah,
I would believe in McGonigal more than I would in Baez. So maybe.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I would. I'm trying to. Scott Harris has made it very clear that they are not going to rush these guys. I would prefer to not rush them than to do what we did with Torque and Green and under Alabama.
Can Sweeney and Baez hold down shortstop until Memorial Day and then make a decision on?
Sweeney isn't good at bat, and his defense is slightly above average. Javi has amazing defense. His bat sucks. It'll be fine. We got, just hold it down for a little bit until McGonigal gets a little bit more reps at AAA or AA or whatever. I use Jackson Jobe as an example. Jackson Jobe made 3 starts at AAA before he came up to the majors, right? McGonigal could do a very similar thing where he just spends a month at AAA to start the season and then he comes up.
Now, if McGonigal hits 400 in spring training, now you have a decision on your hands.
Yeah,
but that's a big if.
Yeah, it's a big if. Like I said, he hasn't spent a lot of time above high A. He went to the Arizona Fall League. He went because he missed some time because of injury. There was an ankle thing, and then he got hit in the head. It was a kind of a really big deal at the time, but then he came back and it was fine. But yeah, pure hit wise, he looks amazing, and I can't wait. So, one thing I do want to note there's a trend in these guys. It's called they're all left-handed, and they all bat left, and there's a trend in what Tigers fans for the past 18 months have demanded of ownership, which is get a right-hand bat. So this doesn't fix the we need a right-hand bat problem. It adds more bats that are good in general. But also, I don't think we need a right-hand bat. But we do have a slight problem of our minor leagues are full of left-handed contact guys, which is fine. But we do need righties too. Like that's a whole other. Anyway,
You and Minnesota both. Like if Minnesota has had just a fetish with left-handed poor defensive corner outfielders.
yeah, just these prospects look so good, and I'm very excited. This is why I'm not on the Scott Harris hate train like a lot of people are. Our prospects under Al Avila were so bad because it was just let's hope that they hit well, and they didn't have defense, they didn't have speed, they didn't have. It was just hitting and slugging. That was just it. But these guys are so much more well-rounded than what Green and Torque looked like coming up. It's just, so that's just a little part of it. And I'm like, yeah, this is so much better than what it was a few years ago.
I mean, whenever you have the number 2 prospect in baseball, it doesn't matter if he bats left or right.
No, it doesn't.
He's just like, who cares?
It's just something I wanted to bring up in terms of our lineup is going to have 6 lefties at some point. I feel like.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the White Sox, and since Ty isn't here, we will spend time on them. But obviously, we're not going to know as much about the White Sox farm system than Ty necessarily would. So I would also they've also had Teal graduate. They've had, I guess, Montgomery is still
Carroll.
Sorry. No, wasn't it? Yeah, Colson Montgomery. There's another Montgomery. Yeah. That's what really confused me up. They've just graduated, so like within the last year, so you could almost add them into this. So the White Sox have 5 prospects on. First off with Billy Carlson, who was their number 1 pick, their number 1 pick in 2025. 45 hit, 50 power, 70 arm, 70 field. So he's just a pure shortstop. If he breezes through the minors, it's going to be because he can hit at least, we'll just say it like a 90 OPS plus level. Like they will rush that glove up to the majors. It's just if the bat can catch up, which seems like is a surprise. He might have a few home runs in him. He grades out just having average power. How did he do? He did not actually play last year, so this is pure speculation, and he is a high school player, so take with that what you will. That's a bit of a leap, but that's fine. That's prospect list, I guess. That seems a little high for someone who didn't play last year, but it is what it is.
I have to say real quick, obviously the White Sox made a trade this week. That'll be probably talked about in the other episode that Eric keeps alluding to that you'll be hearing before this one. Well, I thought we were looking at Montgomery, so proceed. Never mind. I'm going to hold my thought.
So, would you like to look at Montgomery? Because we can...
No, keep doing what you're doing. I got confused on what we were looking at.
Right, yep, this is Billy Carlson, but we've talked about him. He's in rookie ball. Hagen's...
Quick thing. I guess maybe I just don't understand prospect rankings, but I feel like it's silly to me to put guys who were drafted in 2025 and haven't played professional ball up this high. I guess I don't get how it works. It just is like, oh well, he's in low rookie ball, but he was drafted high, so he must be good. I don't know. It just seems a little silly to me. Like, oh,
it's
sure.
It is kind of frustrating, but like I also guarantee Baseball America and whoever, name your prospect list favorite. We just chose MLB Pipeline because they dropped today, and I guess we do cite them quite a bit. They really like younger players because they don't know the blemishes yet. So I'm going to guess Billy Carlson is on a fair number of prospect lists that he's probably a little bit higher than he deserves to be, but that's fine. They're dreaming. It's all about the future.
It's all about the dream, man.
Somebody talked to some scouts that really liked Billy Carlson. That's
Yep.
part of it too, I'm sure, is that, and not to kind of denigrate that, because I'm assuming that whoever put this together did their due diligence and is talking to scouts that they trust. But I got to figure some of this is eye test as well in that
Yep.
kind of way.
Next up, Hagen Smith. left-handed pitcher, kind of not soft tossing because he throws 91, 92. Maybe that's 2026 soft tossing lefty if you want to calibrate. But decent, really good movement on his fastball. Same with his slider, 60 grade fastball, 60 grade slider, 40 splitter control. This to me profiles as a reliever, which is fine. Left-handed, 22 years old. You can probably pump him up to 95, 96 in the bullpen, but I just should be a good prospect. But yeah, I don't see anything other more than a reliever for him. He was at 2 teams last year. Started 20 games in Birmingham for Double-A, 75 innings, and had a 166 average against with an ERA of 3.57.
A decent amount of walks. What it looks.
Yeah, his control is 40. So, I mean, I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
72 seems high for what to me screams a reliever, but what do I know? I don't get paid for this professionally.
If he's a back end reliever, then that's not too bad, I don't think. But I know what you mean. He needs a better third pitch than that 40 grade splitter if he's going to be a starter.
Yeah, I mean there are pitchers. Gausman for the Blue Jays is a 2-pitch pitcher. Joe Ryan for the Twins, for that fact, really is a 2-pitch pitcher. It's just, I mean, fastball slider, it can work, but you have to have elite control, and he does not have that. So, still could be good. I just think his impact is probably going to be in a bullpen. Next up, Caleb Boehmer. Yep, going with that one. He was the second round pick in 2024. 50 hit, 50 just seems like a solid overall player. 55 grades or 50 grades all over. Just a solid player. Shortstop, first base, 20 years old, bats right. Played for 2 teams in 2025, both at high A. Mashed in high A in 11 games. Played 96 games in single A. So he's a couple years away, but you could maybe start dreaming on this guy a little bit. Seems like he's doing everything well.
400 on base at A ball.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where, like, I mean, obviously, if he has a 400 on base percentage in the majors, I mean, he might be a Hall of Fame player. So, like, that's where is he, like, Edward Julian is going to now be my example for this. Is he passive? Is he not swinging because it's so obvious in single A pitchers that it's not a ball, to where if it's a borderline call, he just doesn't swing? And when he gets to the majors, pitchers will absolutely destroy him with.
What was the K rate? What was his strikeouts like? Because that's a way to kind of tell if maybe he was just sitting back watching and getting 2 strikes.
91 strikeouts in, 96 games, 300. So what is that, 25% roughly?
Yeah, it's not great, but it's not, that's inconclusive to me.
This would be horrendous in 1995, but for 2026, it's not that bad. We live with strikeouts.
Lots of good players strike out a lot. It's not the worst thing in the world.
Yep, it's fine. Next up, someone we're probably going to get to see quite a bit of, Noah Schultz. 60 fastball, 70 slider, 45 changeup, 50 control. Throws left. What is his fastball sitting at? A low 80 slider with a 99 fastball. Sits in the mid 90 or in the upper 90s. I swear to God, 6'10". Are you freaking?
Yeah, I just saw that too.
It's Chris Sale. So we get to deal with Chris Sale again. Son of a bitch.
With that 70 grade slider, I was thinking Randy Johnson, but Chris Sale might
That's
be right
even
too.
worse, Stan. That's not better.
I'm just looking at he does not look 240 in that picture.
Well, he's 6'10". Like 240 doesn't go away.
He is a scrawny guy. Jeez. The thing that concerns me is if you look at his bio, it looks like he's had a decent amount of time missed due to his shoulder and arm injuries, which is kind of concerning.
Yeah, pitching prospects, man. Like
it's always a fucking dice roll.
if they still have an arm by the time they get to AAA, you should be excited for him. But I mean, for what he got a cup of coffee in AAA, 16 innings, and he probably got lit up for one of them. He had a 9 ERA and 16 innings in AAA.
Yeah, for those last 10 games.
Gave up 3 home runs in 16 innings, so that won't do.
Hey, but 18 strikeouts in 16 innings.
Yep, that will hold up. 3.34 ERA and AA in 56 innings. So yeah, they really are kind of babying him, aren't they? 12 innings, that's not a lot. Or 12 starts in 56 innings, that's not a lot per inning.
It might just be like a organizational thing, because like I know the Tigers don't let starting pitchers in the minors go more than like 6 innings, so it's just kind of a where they don't really elongate guys anyway. And like
Right.
I guess he missed a bunch of time with like shoulder inflammation or whatever, so they're really just being cautious, I guess. They want to keep him a starter.
All right. And now the guy who Dan thought we were talking about, Braden Montgomery. AA outfielder, 22 years old, switch hitter, 50 hit, 60 power, 50 runs, 70 arm, 50 field, 55 overall. Played for 3 teams in 2025 and hit 780. That's not bad. I mean, well, I guess he's probably a year younger than AA competition, but he only played 34 games there, so take that with what you will. Dan, you can finish your point on a supposed trade that the White Sox made this week.
Yeah, so what I was getting at is, something that we've noticed through the course of this offseason was how the White Sox outfield is probably the oldest part of their team. That kind of changed when they traded Luis Robert earlier this week.
What?
And yeah.
I haven't
no
heard that
kidding,
episode yet. What are you talking about?
Yes, you have, because that's coming out first. But
Yeah, you can't do that. That doesn't work.
I can only imagine that part of why the White Sox felt comfortable doing that, beyond kind of the baggage that Robert had and all that. But they have the opportunity to potentially replace him with the best prospect in their minor league system and in short order. So I kind of wonder if maybe Braden Montgomery will be playing center field on opening day now. That would be a great question for Ty when we talk about the Luis Robert trade tomorrow, perhaps. Remind me to ask him that. But either way, they were going to need to have Montgomery up on this roster at some point anyway, due to the lack of other options.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy who he could potentially end up on the major league roster this year. Like, I mean, just the way that he shot up last season. And I mean, and again, if he turns out to be good, that's just another part of the trade that's from Boston that worked out really well for him. I mean, you trade get a bunch of prospects. 4 of them end up in the major leagues within 2 years. I mean, that's pretty good.
Another guy with power. So you could potentially have a shortstop and a center fielder with plus power on that team, getting more from kind of the less traditional power positions on the field. It's interesting.
I'm gonna hate this guy, aren't I? I don't know. I feel like this is gonna be one of those guys. And I'm like, yeah, he's really annoying. You're muted.
Eric, you're muted.
We can't hear you. He's still talking. We can't hear you. You keep talking.
Okay.
But
Never mind. I'm an idiot and muted myself. I feel like he's probably a July option to me in my head. I don't know if he's necessarily someone I put on the roster right away. I also it looks like he'll be fine. His only true plus tool in the field is his arm. He's decently fast. He can hold he's only graded out to be an average just a starting caliber outfielder. Does that mean center fielder? Maybe. I don't know. You'd have to see.
More right with that arm.
I was about to say, with the arm, you automatically think right field, but I guess you would have to. He's also 22. He could probably, pretend to play center fielder for a year or two before you have to move him.
Who else is playing in center field right now for the White Sox? Derek Hill?
Luis Angel Acuna, who's never played center field before either, really, and Derek Hill.
Yeah, I think just fine. It's what Derek Hill can't hit for anything, but he's at least defense. A legit center fielder. But
I guess I could ask the same question I asked Lee. Like, can Derek Hill and Luis Angel Acuna play until Memorial Day? And then,
right.
probably.
But I also kind of feel like with the White Sox, we're no longer in the territory of like, screw it, let's see what happens. Now it's like, wait. Like, we might have expectations in the fairly near future. I don't think we're there yet, but like, let's pump the brakes on some of these early like rash
That's a good point.
decisions. So I don't know. I mean, we could see him. I would prefer to put him back in AAA for a month or two and see how he does. But it's the White Sox. We've seen them do some really weird things. So let me go up to my team. This will be fun. Oh my goodness, I actually did this out of order. I'm sorry. I look very biased now. I thought they also had 5 prospects on, but the Twins have 4 prospects on the top 100, all of which I'm very excited about, except for probably this first guy, who has been a prospect forever. He was signed internationally in July 2019, and he has had the same profile the entire time. I don't know why they have a 50 grade hit. I disagree with that entirely. He has plus power. He's decently fast. He has a good arm. He's a good fielder. He is a 3 true outcomes player. Just to give you an idea, he has 5 separate years on his profile page. Looking at his on-base percentage, we'll just go 2021. This is Emmanuel Rodriguez. I don't believe I actually said his name. Emmanuel Rodriguez, 214 average, 346 on base in rookie ball. In Fort Myers, low A, 272 average, 492 on base percentage, 240 average in Cedar Rapids, 400 on base. And he is an on base machine. But let's look at his strikeout, shall we? 134 strikeouts in 2023 in 300 at-bats.
I don't like that.
No one should like that. He is very divisive in Minnesota. He has the tools. I disagree with this hit completely. His stats back that up. Great power, elite plate discipline. Like, I truly believe he knows the strike zone very well. And he has the tools to be a decent center fielder for a couple years and then move over to right field. He can be a very good defensive player. But the hit tool is really, really hard to stomach.
I would also just, if this is anything like the Twins, he's shown off impressive tools when healthy. Does he have a long injury thing?
Oh, brother, does he?
I was looking at the game totals on that stat sheet.
Yeah, brother, does he have?
Yeah.
37, 47, 99, 47, 65. A wrist injury has taken the last couple of years. This is why he's been a prospect for an eternity.
Has he reached the majors at all?
No, he's still in AAA.
Ah.
But he's also only 22. We've known about him since 2019. It's 2026, people. That's 7 years as a prospect.
I mean, he's an international signee. When he signed when he was.
Oh, I get it. He signed when he was 16. I get it. But man,
is this? I hate to say it. Is he just like gonna be the a not as good hitting, slightly worse version of Byron Buxton? Or is just?
I mean, if I can get a non-hitting Byron Buxton, was Byron Buxton his first 3 years in the majors? People forget how he was really bad at the plate for 3 years.
I don't know why
he was such an elite defender. He was still a positive for the team. Rodriguez is more a positive defender, but his ability at the plate, if it clicks, we're talking multiple time all-star. If it doesn't click, we're talking career 4th outfielder who can hit a home run every 2 weeks, getting 300 plate appearances a year. It's just he has a decently high floor despite he might not be able to hit at all because his defense will hold him there. But I mean, the hit too. So I'm personally not high on Emmanuel Rodriguez, but I can see why people would be. He is an on-base machine. He has a lot of pop. I just don't know if you can believe in it.
The interesting part to me is that he gets on base a lot, but he still strikes out so much. Like those things don't really make sense to me.
Oh, 3-2 outcomes, baby. Adam Dunn, Joey Gallo, Miguel Sano was a little bit. I think when I say Miguel Sano, I mean that as a positive because Miguel Sano was an all-star like his first 2 years in the season. He was at times an absolute monster. So I mean that as a positive, but I don't know. He is Rodriguez is divisive, we'll say, but
I think I agree with you. He hasn't played. He's played above 75 games once.
Yep.
Like, no.
None of it matters if he can't stay on the field.
Yeah, the best ability is availability.
Oh, don't you hit me! Don't you hit me with? Please stop it.
I love that song too.
Stop it! Stop
it!
Do it. I mean, it's just you can only be as useful as you are when you're actually on the field. Otherwise, you're just taking up a roster spot.
You're not. No, stop. All right. You know what? We're moving on to Eduardo Taillon because if we're just going to go into cliches, we'll be here all freaking night. Eduardo Taillon, he was traded for in the Joan Duran deal. High A catcher, played pretty good. This is deceiving because it's 3 teams. Both of them were in the same level. Didn't necessarily hit well, but what he didn't hit well in high A, but he is very young. He is 19 in high A. So he's like 2 or 3 full years younger than his competition. He's probably been pushed a little bit too aggressively. He has a good hit tool. He has good power. We're going to see if he sticks at catcher or not. If not, we might be looking at a first baseman. With that said, he looks like a catcher. I can certainly see this guy playing behind the plate, but we'll see. Good hitting prospect. We're going to see if he's going to be a catcher. We'll see. Wasn't necessarily impressive when he was with the Twins. He was fine over all 3 of his during 2025. He had a 738 OPS. With catchers, it's just tough, man. Like we said with the Royals, they age differently. When they're 32, they're ancient history. If they can figure out hitting, sometimes they're in the majors when they figure out hitting. I don't know. It's a weird position, but he's fine. He's a couple years away.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to really speculate anything about him when he's this far out.
Right.
I mean, he looks good now. I mean, that was the best deal of the Twins deadline, probably.
Yeah, well, there's also, there's being the skinniest kid at fat camp. Also, like, it's true, but does it really matter? But yes, it was the best deal of the trade deadline. Certainly did happen.
I'm trying to make you feel a little bit better.
Lee, I'm a Twins fan. Do you know how much self-hate we have to be a Minnesota Twins fan? Anyway, next up, some prospects that I actually kind of like. I'm actually really excited for Kalen Culpepper. He was their first-round draft pick 2 years ago. 50 hit, 45 power, 50 run, 60 arm, 50 field, 55 overall average. Now, I'm not a vibes guy. I'm not a, charisma guy necessarily, but like there is something about Kalen Culpepper that does it for me. He over 2 years in 2025 he had 289, 375, 467. Did well in Double-A Wichita. Where I do disagree is if you look at MLB Pipeline, they say that it'll be in 2027. I think that's a bit conservative. He would have been called up to AAA, but he I think like the general consensus is he got worn down as the season went on because he did play, how many games? I think he played a lot of games here. He played a total of 113 games, which was a lot compared to 50 in. He played not only a full college season 2024, but also 26 games there. He played 113 games, which is a lot for a young guy. But yeah, I mean, he showed good power. He shows that he can play shortstop at least adequately. I honestly, he's not going to be on the opening day roster, but him and the next guy I'm going to talk about, Walker Jenkins, and I guess Emmanuel Rodriguez, who we've already talked about. If the Twins are going to have a good season, it's going to be Jenkins, Culpepper, Rodriguez are going to be the biggest reasons why. All of them should be in the majors this year. Now, what's the downside of that is that's a lot of pressure to put on rookies, and rookies do not always, one, pan out, but also pan out right away. So it's probably not likely, but if you're trying to pump up the fan base, Kalen Culpepper is probably the second name you're going to talk about. So, any thoughts on Culpepper? Just solid player. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at how he transitioned to Double A, yeah, I think you're right. I think he could end up being on the team this year, not starting, but he could end up there just because. I mean, it looks like he's transitioned very nicely, which is always that's kind of like the biggest.
And I would say this 827 OPS, it was in the 930s before August. Because he and Walker Jenkins also, like, I watch the minor leagues quite a bit. Him and Walker Jenkins in the same lineup, it was Culpepper would lead off, and then Jenkins would either be, I think, second or third consistently. That was a real fun duo to watch. So like just to kind of dream about them in Minnesota in Target Field, that was fun. So I'm very biased on him. It's kind of I've latched on to Culpepper maybe a little bit more than I did because also I don't believe in Brooks Lee an awful lot as a starting shortstop. I think Brooks Lee would be a perfectly solid like utility infielder. A starting shortstop I don't think is his best role. So maybe I really want Kalen Culpepper to be good for a couple years or for a couple months so he gets called up quickly. And next up, the crown jewel, the guy who was made in a lab to be a baseball player. 6'3", 210, fifth round pick in the same draft class as Max Clark and Paul Skeens that we've already talked about. 60 hit, 60 power, 55 run, 60 arm, 60 field, 55, 60 overall grade. He's 20 years old in AAA.
Dang.
Which is 5 years younger than his average competition. This guy has been impressive everywhere. He jumped 4 leagues last year. And he got a taste. He played 23 games in AAA and hit a 720 OPS. That's not necessarily all that impressive, a 720 OPS on its own, because AAA, especially with Chase Field, which is where the Saints play at, is a bandbox. Like, there's home runs left and right. But considering his age, and he had a 7 OPS, that's really encouraging. And I don't think I'm just breathing the hopium. He's the number 14th overall prospect in the world, according to MLB Pipeline. This is a guy I feel pretty confident in saying. Or he's someone that the Twins are really going to have to hope pans out. Because if he doesn't pan out, man, it's going to be a long couple of years for the Twins, I think.
I really hope that both he and Max Clark end up being really good at the same time. That will be so much fun.
That'll be fun. Absolutely. I would love to hate Max Clark. I would love to have the Max Clark Walker Jenkins debate for the next 10 years. I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, that would be fun. But yeah, do you think it's like his ETAs for this year, where do you think he comes up? Like
they're pushing him aggressively. And it's not like Trevor Larnach is a perfectly fine major league player. I'm also kind of surprised he's still on the roster. I also still kind of expect him to be off the roster. He's not going to break camp with the team. That's way too high. I think, and this is going to be my mantra going into spring training, get to May so that you can get a Walker Jenkins and Emmanuel Rodriguez up to see like if there's actual hope for the season. If the Twins can hold above water or at least be around 500 by the start of May, there might be hope for this season. But that's going to be a lot of pressure for two young guys. Like you're really hoping on like 75th to 95th percentile outcomes for both of them. But that's what I have as a Twins fan because they just blew up the team at midseason last year.
Now, there's somebody, this will be resolved, but Walker Jenkins is not on the Twins 40 man right now, which I thought was interesting, just because of how you're talking about how they're intent on getting him to the majors in short order. They haven't needed to put him on the 40 man. I'm sure he's not anywhere near Rule 5 eligible, but
Correct.
I thought that was interesting. Just looking that up just now, that they will at least have to make some move to get him to the majors.
I think there's probably just more guys that they want to protect that like are Rule 5 eligible, and then when he's inevitably going to come up, it's just DFA some random utility infielder that bats 220 or whatever.
Agreed.
I would like right now they're kind of in the there's no need to cut like there's a lot of fat to cut off from like 35 to 40 on the Twins 40 man right now. They just did it for the Carantini and for Taylor Rogers who they just brought back. But like I mean, I know they just traded for James Outman. James Outman is not necessarily that good of a player. Edouard Julien is probably really close to being cut. You have Travis at like
Cody
you have
Clemens
guys that
also.
you're not really going to miss.
Cody Clemens, see you.
See,
Unless he's the only first baseman on your team.
Josh Bell, how dare you?
Not anymore.
Josh Bell, thank you.
Oh, that's right.
Cody Clemens did enough last year that he should be on the at least given a chance to be on the roster this year.
I think that's actually fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly.
Do I think he's going like? Do I not expect him to maybe be on the roster in July? We'll have to see. But like, he kind of carried their ass for like a month when he got traded from the Phillies. Like, we'll see.
That was dumb. I hate it. There's no way he should have been that good for that long.
He was really only like he really struggled in the second half. Like I think he ended up with the year with a 94 OPS plus, but like
he was still one of your best positions.
He was worth 1.4 WAR.
Yeah, he was like he was really good for like 6 weeks.
He was almost above replacement level as much as Jack Caglione was below it.
Right. Which was so rad because I still remember I had the joke in my head that the day they picked up Cody Clemens, it was like, if you know Cody Clemens' name, it's because you know his dad is Roger Clemens, and the next time you will hear his name, it's because they DFA'd him to activate Byron Buxton off the injured list. I had that joke in my head, and then he just ended up being their best hitter for like 6 weeks. It was just stupid.
I don't know why I have this irrational dislike of Cody Clemens, but I'm like, no, he should not have been that good. That's stupid. I don't like it.
What was funny with Cody too, he had because like he struck out Shohei Ohtani and like which apparently like blew the entire Twins bullpen mind. Like they looked up the video and all that. But
crazy.
Then also this was really kind of fun. Does anyone remember when Roger Clemens had this huge patch on his glove? It said like the Rocket on it. It was like it was like a controversy in like 2002 or something because it was too distracting for the hitters to see because it was just this patch on the glove that said the Rocket. He had his dad bring that glove or like mail him that glove. And then the bullpen guys were like holding it up as like this holy grail. Like it's just so like he even kind of plays into it. Like that his dad the only reason.
Your dad is Roger Clemens and is willing to send over some random stuff that buys you a lot of points in the clubhouse, I'd imagine.
Oh, I'm sure he did that all the time. I'm sure that's just like his thing. And like I could also see like players like talking to Cody Clemens and be like, "Yeah, Cody, we get it. Your dad's Roger Clemens. You don't need to keep saying it. Like we know." But it was also kind of weird having Roger Clemens in Target Field multiple times.
Oh yeah, when Cody Clemens was on the Tigers, Roger Clemens was at the Tigers games all the time.
That was still very odd to me, but fun, I guess. Roger Clemens, I don't think is necessarily the greatest human being, but who am I to judge?
The Tigers broadcast showed Miguel Cabrera's home run off Roger Clemens in the World Series like 100 times. Like, that was when Miggy was still on the team, so they would replay that a lot.
All right. And finally, because the rich just can't keep getting richer, signing a franchise icon, multiple-time division winner. They also have to have, according to a top 100 prospect list from MLB.com, 6 prospects on the list.
Does that qualify as an embarrassment of riches?
How does Parker
Kind of.
Metrico qualify on this list? I feel like it feels like he should have graduated, right? Like I feel like he was on the major league team for a while, right?
Who, Messick? Is that what you said?
Yeah. He made like what, 7, 8 starts for them then?
7 or 8, something like that. He was very good in them too.
What's the limit for?
Also, can we say it is disgusting that all of them are either on the 40-man or in AAA right now? Ralphie Velasquez on this list is their lowest level prospect on here. All of these, we're going to see all of these motherfuckers in the next 3 months. What is this?
This is a storm that's been brewing for a few years now. These guys were largely drafted in the last couple of years. The Guardians have been known for drafting a certain way that it's kind of become a bit of a stereotype that they draft and try to sign in international free agency a bunch of kind of light hitting, contact hitting, middle infielder, center fielder types. The tide has turned. And additionally, the other thing I want to acknowledge here up front is known as the pitching factory. There's only one pitcher on this list. The tide has changed a little bit here. There is still some of that kind of contact, middle of the field stuff going on, but there's some thump here too. So I think some needed adjustments have been made in the last couple of years in terms of scouting and player development, and we're going to see how it goes because the whole light hitting middle infielder thing, quite frankly, didn't work out that well over the course of the previous kind of class of prospects. Your Brian Rocchios, your Gabriel Arias, those types, Angel Martinez, etc.
How many division titles have you won in the last 5 years?
At least 3 of them.
Yeah, and
3 of them. 22, 23.
That's the not working plan.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Great, fantastic. Love to hear that. Yeah. Wonderful.
I hate you. I hate the Guardians so much.
The feeling's mutual.
Also, I looked it up. It's 45 days on the roster or 50 innings pitched. So I guess Messick probably does.
He's got to be close then.
I really don't like, because it used to be at bat or innings pitched. The 45 days on the active roster, I don't like at all, because that means nothing. You can get injured your first day, go on the 60-day IL, and then you're just off the prospect list.
That's got to be a collective bargaining thing, though.
Yeah, probably.
39 and 2/3 for Messick, so he's got a little bit of room there. A couple starts.
All right.
But he looked really good.
Let's see who we got to hate. Cooper Ingle, 23-year-old, drafted 2 years ago, 55 hit, 45 power, 50 field. Seems like a decent, pretty good odds. Is there any reason that he will not be better than Bo Naylor?
Yeah, I was going to ask, would you place your bets on, Bo Naylor or Cooper Ingle?
Do me a favor, Eric, and go to the stats page for a second for Cooper Ingle. Yeah, so this is Cooper Ingle this time last year was hot. Look at that bat at 305, 419, 478 slash line. Everybody thought, hey, give it a year and Cooper will be pushing Bo Naylor for the starting catching position. He didn't quite have as good of a 2025. See the slash line last year. It was only 28 games at AAA, but 207 batting average. Not nearly as good. I think his obviously he's on the list. He's 99 on the list, but the trend lines are a little bit downward with Ingle, where I think he was a little bit hotter of a name within the organization last year. But Bo Naylor hasn't performed to the level we would have expected. The one difference between the two is Naylor is a guy that'll hit the ball over the fence from time to time. Engel, that's not his strength. He's more of a contact hitter. I'm very curious to see what kind of spring Cooper Engel has. I don't know that we're going to see him until later in this year, if we see him at all. But I do feel comfortable that if either Austin Hedges or Bo Naylor gets hurt, we do have a fine third option that could come up if we decide to kind of pull that lever. Not to say that I think he's never going to be anything in the majors, but I think it's a little bit more of an even battle between those two at this point, Naylor and Engel, just because some of the juice has left Engel's name.
So I'm kind of wondering.
And then evaluate from there.
I'm going to look this up because he played. I mean, catchers wear down. He played 120 games in 2025.
It's a good point.
I think the minor league schedule is like 140 something, and I even think that's AAA. Like that, I don't know. I want to see like what his split up, so that's why I'm looking up on MLB, a baseball reference, because I want to see what his splits are if they can actually show what he played. Because I feel like that's just as much of a factor as anything. That's a lot of games. If he actually caught 120 games, that's brutal. There are MLB catchers
That's true.
that don't hit that. Actually, I'm going to look up to see what did the Big Dumper do this year
Cooper
for
had the
games.
most innings caught in the American League.
Yes, that's why I want to look him up specifically because he played 159 games. Jesus, that's so much for a catcher. Goodness, that's not a good comparison. But anyway, Christ, Cal Raleigh, your poor knees. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to be scared of him necessarily, but like he's probably going to be a pain in the butt for the next 5 years before they trade him for another no-name prospect that they also turned into an all-star. Parker Messick, we've seen him.
Parker Messick might have one of the best changeups in all of baseball. That alone was a huge part of his success over the course of last season, which included, I believe it was 7 starts in the majors. 7 starts in the majors. And there was a period of time there in those 7 starts where he didn't allow a home run for maybe like 5 of them. I'm going to try to find that real quick.
Oh yeah, and then the Tigers hit like 2 in the first inning against him.
Yes. So that was his last start of the year. He gave out 3 home runs to the Detroit Tigers on September 25th. In the other 6 starts he made, he allowed 1 home run. So he is a bit of a pitch to contact guy. That changeup will create some swing and miss, but he's not overpowering. He's kind of low 90s, 93, 94 at most, which is average at this point in modern baseball. But really good changeup. I think projects to be like a better Logan Allen, and could be like a 3 or 4 long term that you could feel really confident in on a playoff team. So
6
I
walks,
think
38 strikeouts is very good.
yes. And the other thing to mention here is he very well may start the year at AAA. Part of the reason why he was able to get starts at the end of last year is because the Guardians opted to go to a 6-man rotation. And he might end up being the odd man out coming into the year unless they decide to trade from their surplus of starting pitching, which they might, but I think is kind of growing less and less likely as we get further and further into the or closer to spring training.
I don't know. He pitched. I believe that. Like I believe that logic. But part of me also think he pitched. He started 20 games. He spent the entire year at AAA.
Mm-hmm.
What else does he have to prove?
Nothing. But there's 5 other guys in front of him in the pecking order at this point. So you can never have too much starting pitching. It's also January 24th. We have a whole spring training in front of us where anybody could get hurt. So, the situations may change, but Gavin Williams, Tanner Bybee, Slade Ciccone, Logan Allen, Joey Cantillo, I think all those guys would be in the starting rotation above Messick, although I personally am not thrilled with Ciccone, but I think they'll go with Ciccone, just being realistic.
Also, at the end of the day, he only played 7 games in the majors. He's not going to necessarily get starting privileges in the major leagues over some of the guys who have been there longer and like had more long
And
term.
I don't see him being a bullpen guy. He's not
That's what I was going to
overpowering.
ask, actually.
Um, I think the best option for everybody is he's starter number 6. He's the first guy ready to go in case somebody gets hurt. He's going to be on speed dial all year. He'll be the guy to pitch the, assuming they can time it right because of the way the rotations work, but it's, pitch the double headers, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I mean, that's fair. Next up, Ralphie. I cannot trust a man named Ralphie. I guess he's only
Why
20
is his
years
name
old.
Ralphie? Who names his person Ralphie?
What's wrong
Hate
with
him
Ralphie?
already.
Ralphie was the kid from the Christmas Story. Anyway.
Yeah, the worst holiday, the most overrated holiday movie that they play. Yeah.
I live like 15 minutes from the Christmas Story house, so I'm just going to ignore that and move on. It's like a tourist attraction here in Cleveland, but that's a whole other thing.
Okay, again, so tourist attraction in Cleveland. Do I have to say fattest kid or skinny kid in fat camp again?
We got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Eric.
That's
That's
one
all
thing,
you
Dan.
have.
That's
That's
one.
all you got.
Are you going to say the Drew Carey house next? Because that's it.
When I was
I
applying,
wish.
still thinking I was going to get a PhD, one of the schools I was looking at was Case Western. Every time I said, "Oh, Case Western is in Cleveland," they go, "Well, there's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame." Every single person. That's all Cleveland is known for. Also, his full name is Raphael, so he's a grown man who decides to go by Ralphie.
He's 20.
We also have a majestic waterfront that you can enjoy, but that's a whole other thing. So
Majestic.
yes, majestic.
Anymore?
Anyway, Raphael here, you're going to be even angrier when he's dropping 40 bombs on you guys 2 years from now. No, seriously, might be the most impact bet on this entire list, even though he's 4th on the list.
He's got 50 hit and 60 power. I mean,
plus power. And
dang.
when I talk about kind of the change in philosophy, Ralphie Velasquez is Exhibit A. Has dabbled in the outfield, may be athletic enough to play out there at his kind of larger stature to make it stick, but can always fall back to first base. As you can see, Eric highlighted there, 994 OPS in Double-A. Took off like a rocket last year in Double-A, 330 batting average. Now, first base isn't necessarily a place of need, so like I said, hopefully maybe he can kind of make it work in the outfield long term. We'll see. Things change too in terms of roster down the line, but his most immediate kind of pathway to the majors might be in the outfield. I don't expect that necessarily to be this year unless he continues to tear the cover off the ball in AAA. If he does, well, then look out. Maybe you'll see him in July or later. But just the fact that there's a guy that is hitting the ball over the fence in the minors, and it's not potential. He's actually doing it down there. Gives a lot of optimism that he might be, somebody that's hitting 4th on a division-winning team in a couple of years.
And not like also we should, because we just talked, the joke has been Cleveland has won a lot of division titles and this is like the poor end of their prospects, but like an actual like productive 4th hitter.
Yes.
It's not just Jose Ramirez, Steven
Let's
Kwan,
emphasize
and
that.
then
Everyone
a
else.
void.
Well, Manzardo had a good year last year.
He
but
did. He was fine.
Yeah.
I think
He hit.
Manzardo is just like he's just a solid first baseman. You're not going to like maybe remember him 30 years from now, but he's fine.
The point being that if Ralphie Velasquez is real and he's hitting 4th and Kyle Manzardo's now hitting 5th or 6th,
Yes.
now we've got something. Now, the thing that I've kind of grappled with 2024, I've talked about this before, so I apologize, but that team hit the ball well. They were a middle of the pack offense. They weren't kind of scratching and clawing for runs. And it felt like that team had a legitimate chance to get to the World Series because of it. We need to get back to that. And we get back to that by guys like Ralphie Velasquez and maybe a couple others we're about to talk about contributing offensively.
All right. Let's talk about one of those because he. I thought he debuted last year. I guess he's just on the 40-man roster, which is why he's
I
listed as
think you're
well.
thinking of perhaps Angel or Angel Martinez. This is Angel Henao, who is
Mm-hmm.
a completely different guy. Now, the one thing I'll say is we do have one of those old school middle of the field contact hitting type guys on this list. That is Angel Henao, who hopefully is a very productive shortstop with good hit tool, great fielder. I have to say the previous crop of those guys, like I mentioned a moment ago, haven't done much in the majors. That one makes me feel like, oh, well, how's this guy going to be different? But alternatively, it means that the opportunity is ripe for Hanau to potentially run with if he can continue to impress. Um, and I do think he sticks in the middle of the infield, probably at shortstop. And from there, like I said, he's kind of more reminiscent of kind of the previous prospects they had. Hopefully, he can carry it forward a little bit better than they have.
Oh shoot, I was gonna try to go back because like this was, he's not the same prospect. So please do not. I'm not trying to like curse him with this level of like. I wanted to go back to Francisco Lindor's prospect profile, but 2012 was when he was on the list, and they do not actually list any of the grades. So I'm not cursing him on it, but the 60 grade hit, the good arm, the good fielding, he's another
I will
caliber.
say, because that's an important point. The reason they were doing that whole middle of the infield guy thing, they were trying to systematize creating Jose Ramirez and Francisco Lindor over and over and over again. They did it twice, and they did it really well twice.
Right.
And they were trying to teach guys to pull the ball in the air and create power, and it just didn't kind of work. Well, they're taking one more crack at it with now. I get your I appreciate you bringing up Lindor because I don't think this guy is quite of that pedigree,
Right.
but it's a fair kind of you have the right mindset,
There's a
of
skeleton outline
yeah,
of Francisco Lindor here. Only Lindor developed much more power. He is certainly a much like Lindor. If you could actually list his grades, I bet he was probably closer to a 60 or a 70 grade like defensive infield or defensive shortstop. But
do you have I know you were trying to look it up where he was on the list that year in 2012? Like was he 10th?
20.
Was
Well, he
he
was number one on obviously the Guardians, and it's real. Like let me just try to find because also 2012 was loaded.
the only point I'm
What
trying to make is I'm assuming he was higher than 66.
does anyone want to guess who the number one prospect for MLB Pipeline was in 2012?
I don't even want to guess because I'll be way off. I
Mike
don't know.
Trout.
Matt Moore. Mike Trout was third. Bryce Harper was
Matt,
second.
Matt Moore. Okay.
I am looking for Lindor in 2012. 32nd.
Okay. A little bit lower than I thought, but still.
2013, he was 14th.
Okay.
And I
That's what I
think
was
he
thinking of.
debuted that year, so he's not going to be on the 2015 list.
I think you're right.
All right. Next up, we've already seen him unofficially because I think he's one of that because he debuted in the playoffs, so he didn't really debut, but he debuted.
Indeed.
Jason
And
Lawrence. What's
he
that?
looked both pretty bad and pretty good at the same time. I mean, I don't know, it can only go up from here. The first thing you do on a major league field is botch a ball in center field in a playoff game. But then he ripped a single. He had another, I think, hard hit out as well in that game. Chase DeLauder, who, 16th pick in the draft in 2022, had been projected to be higher at one point during his time in college. But the biggest thing with Chase DeLauder is, can he stay on the field? Eric, please go to his games played. 57, 39, 42.
Are we sure he's not
Uh,
a Twins prospect?
what's that?
Hey,
Oh,
friendly
Twins
fire
prospect.
here. Come on now.
Lee, remind me again, what is your best ability?
Availability.
Thank you.
I hate you
Um,
both.
I'm reaching a little bit here, but I'm going to say it anyway. Chase DeLauder could be the best player in this division someday.
Ooh.
He's got to stay on the field in order for that to happen. He's got just to make it a possibility. No, that's the ceiling. I don't know that I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm not even saying it's likely, but he's could
Nope,
be that
it's
capable.
recorded, set in stone.
The bigger point I'm trying to make here is he could be the reincarnation of Willie Mays for all we know, but it doesn't matter if he doesn't
Oh
play.
my god. Okay,
And
well let's just like
the point, you guys are focusing on the wrong part here. It doesn't matter
No,
how good he is. If he
you have
doesn't play.
mentioned Willie Mays. Don't you dare tell us we're focusing on the wrong part.
You are. The point being, they're also playing him in center field. I've already kind of hemmed and hawed about the fact that I don't think he's suited to play center. Beyond that, center field's harder on the body than the field positions are. There's a lot going against him in terms of durability. And unfortunately, some news came out this week. Chris Antonetti had an interview where he was basically, I'm paraphrasing, but was asked, Chris, at the start of this offseason, you said that the team was going to look at both internal and external ways to improve the offense. You guys have done zero things to improve the offense externally. Why is that? And basically, the long story short on that is Antonetti answered, we don't want to block our young guys. We got a bunch of young guys. We've got 6 young guys here on this list, for instance. And that means that Chase DeLauter is probably going to be the starting center fielder opening day, assuming he is still in one piece on opening day. It's just a lot. To Eric's point about putting pressure on young guys, not only is there a lot of pressure here, but the durability is a big concern. So I get the point of that plan, but it sure seems like a flimsy plan to me. I don't know that we're setting him up for success. Well, we'll see. But the teeny tiny bit we saw of him was fairly impressive. And this is another guy which 60 grade power, another guy that's a different type of player from what they used to pick out of the draft. Another guy that could hit in the middle of the order someday, hit second perhaps. But it's a lot of ifs, and I think a lot of them are based on that durability.
Do you think like what is his floor?
Um,
If you can
like we
name
were
a
talking
player.
about before, he does have a good glove. Again, I don't know that he's suited for center. I don't know if it's the range for his floor. I would say lower than we're talking about on Lee's on the Tigers. That we talked about. He could be a Kyle Isbell at worst. He would play good center field. Like I think it's below that just because I don't think it would be as good of a defender in center field. There's the potential that he does flame out here. I will say that. There's a potential for a lot of swing and miss. Um,
I guess that's
he could,
really where I was kind of looking at. Like, do you
yeah,
feel he has a high at the minimum, does he have a high floor or is he all or nothing seems harsh?
yeah.
But
I
is
think
it
all or nothing is
possible?
harsh. I think it's possible he doesn't pan out if that's what the question is. Like I think it's possible that you try it for a couple of years and then just never. And again, I still think the biggest barrier is health, and not just for the sake of kind of the cliche I've bantied about a couple times about being available, but like that's development time that could just be lost that
Hey,
you
Sam.
don't get back.
Hello,
Hey,
how we
Sam.
doing?
Are you in like an actual like news studio, like a professional like
No, I'm just here in the conference room.
still you're still classing up the joint.
In the hoodie and beanie.
How's it going,
Mhm.
Sam? We talked about the Royals prospects. We were
Yeah.
just actually we have one more Guardians prospect, and maybe we can circle back around and talk about the Royals prospects to come full circle. I don't. Have you looked at the top 100 prospect list?
Yeah, there's two Royals.
Yeah, there is,
Mhm. And
and
one of
one
them,
of them you've already seen.
one of them's already in the big leagues. So yeah.
Yes. So let's circle back to that. But yeah, we were just talking about Chase the Louder. But yeah, we have one more prospect. We've gone through all of the teams, which for us, and for well, we've talked about what 15 players, something like that, for an hour and a half. It's pretty good for us, even though there's only 3 of us on the line. So, Dan, any other thoughts on DeLauder?
No, I think I beat that horse to death.
All right. Well, one more horse. The Aussie, Travis Bazzana, second baseman. Yeah.
I
Dan, what
think
do you know
so.
about him?
I think second base is correct. There's been a little bit of talk about outfield. Again, the arm I think would kind of preclude him for that. Not even an average arm. But Travis Bazzana, literally the only first overall pick the Cleveland Guardians have ever had in their history. Uh, as Eric mentioned, Australian born. Actually, has played professional baseball before joining the minor leagues because he played in the Australian League at one point in time for a brief period. But
Cool.
yeah, more
How
importantly,
competitive is that
uh,
league?
I mean,
Yeah, I'm gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know Australia had a professional league until I
they
learned.
play in our winter because it's their summer. I would say it's like a low minors level of competitiveness, but I'm kind of speculating on that. That being said, uh, Bazana will likely spend the vast majority of this season at AAA, is my guess, as he continues to get at bats because another guy that was injured a lot last year. I believe he was on the injured list twice, and so again lost development time along the way. But close to a complete player, hits above average, power above average, runs very well, decent fielder, and I think the Guardians in a lot of ways fell in love with him because he was even just himself analytically minded. I think he's a very good fit for this organization, um, in that he's very into kind of the analytics side of things, and that'll pair well with their front office and their program. So he's got all that going for him. I can't speak higher than about his pedigree than the fact that he was picked first in the draft. That has kind of soured a little bit because we've already seen Nick Kurtz come up from that exact same draft and do big things in the majors. Bazzana just hasn't kind of gotten that opportunity yet, and so I think that'll come with time. There's definitely a need for a second baseman on this roster, and I think more importantly, he needs more at bats and more seasoning at AAA this year. And ultimately, he could help down the line at the end of the year. But I think the lion's share this year will be spent improving.
Yeah, who do you got playing second? Is it still Schneeman?
It'll to be determined. My guess is it would be Gabriel Arias to start the year, but we'll see.
I thought he was like, who's playing short then? I keep forgetting
Rocchio.
who infield is. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, they flip those guys. Rocchio will play second more than
Okay.
likely, and Arias would play short, assuming no other changes to the roster.
And then I got not necessarily about Bazzana specifically, but you got 5 guys on there with an ETA of 2026.
Son of a
How,
bitch.
do you think you'll see all 5 of those players?
We'll definitely see DeLauder. We'll definitely see Messick. Um, Bazana, I think we'll see Bazana in September, assuming he stays healthy. Hanau, I think it'll depend on how he hits. And I'm less kind of confident in his appearance this year. Cooper Engel, I feel similar. I think we'll see 3 of those guys for sure, maybe a fourth, depending on injury or ineffectiveness of the people in front of them.
I mean, well, Engel. I think if Engel hits the majors, it's going to be because Naylor or Hedges gets injured.
That or he returns to hitting the ball. Like I could see him being really good through July, and then they'll find a way to get him up here.
Who are they going to cut? Because you would have to like Austin Hedges,
That's a
despite
good point.
his lack of ability to hit the
No, yeah, you're
ball.
right. They're going to keep him on the right. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's a good point, especially with the fact that Engel is left-handed hitting. So they're not going to have 2 left-handed hitting catchers necessarily. Like you can't platoon that necessarily. Um,
I also
yeah,
like maybe. I feel like in order for Engel to get into the majors, it's going to be Bo Naylor going down in like May. I don't think he'll be called up if like Naylor's out for the season in like April. I think they're gonna wait till May to call him up. But from May on, if Naylor's down, there's no reason to not call him up. In which case, this might sound weird, but I think he would just be the starting catcher. Austin Hedges would
Yes,
still
no,
be the backup.
1,000% agree. That's exactly what would happen in that scenario. Bo Naylor's been durable, so I don't know that necessarily that would be something to really kind of plan on in the first place. Catcher is, of course, a tough position to play, so who knows? But there's not an injury history there necessarily with Bo Naylor. Um, the other option there is you could trade Cooper Ingle, find somebody that's
Yeah.
interested in him, and you can improve your roster that way as well because you have the opportunity there. Of course, if Bo doesn't hit, then I kind of wonder, how long do we wait and just keep Cooper Ingle in AAA just for the sake of doing so?
Does that
But then you got
ultimately
a tough
depend
decision.
on when he's playing Minnesota? Like when Minnesota's coming up on the schedule?
The whole division. Don't forget, Bo Naylor is fantastic against the AL Central and terrible against everybody else.
I hate it.
That's a legitimate stat.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
All right. So
By the way,
Wow.
if you're wondering, there are 4 teams in the Australian Baseball League.
Okay.
You got the Adelaide Giants, the Brisbane Bandits, the Perth Heat, and the Sydney Blue Sox.
the
Why
Blue
am I
Sox.
not surprised that they have a team called the Heat?
Yeah.
Where's that? Heat is a good name. Like it just is. So let's talk about the Royals quick. So it's like Sam Kizik jumped on. I do want, and it's also not to sound insulting. It's not the deepest list. We've already seen one of the guys. So let's circle back to the Royals to come a full circle moment. Sam, I don't know if you're much of a prospect hound. Carter Jensen looked, and we said this at the start of the episode. We're almost embarrassed that we forgot how good he was, and also that he debuted. But he mashed for 20 games. So,
Oh, yeah.
thoughts on Carter Jensen, and then we can talk about Blake Mitchell.
I think Jensen kind of really lit the world on fire in a month of play in 2025. I mean, you look at some of the things he was able to do. He put up almost an entire win above replacement in 20 games for the Royals. So he was really good as advertised. Again, he's locally from Kansas City. He went to Park Hill High School. So
Of course he is.
someone who, I mean, a guy like that is going to be on the team this year, and hopefully he can prove that wasn't a fluke. But when you look at those numbers, and they're pretty good. The Royals do need an heir apparent to Salvi. I think we all know this. He is a lefty as well. Salvi's a righty, so you can platoon that pretty well between those two guys. I think I would like to see Jensen behind the plate, maybe an equal split with Salvi this season, just because we know Salvi's getting up there and he's not got a lot of time behind the plate left in him. So I would like to see a pretty even split between these two. But Carter Jensen, he gives me a lot of hope for the future of that position for the Royals.
Like not for like well. We'll talk about it. Like I feel like the conversation with the Royals is more big picture. So like let's talk about Blake Mitchell and then we can go back. But like Blake Mitchell seems just like a solid backup catcher prospect. Like he's gonna be if he can pop a home run like once every 2 weeks as a backup. I feel like that's kind of his ceiling. Like he's a legitimate fielder. He has a good arm. He has decent power. The hit, we're not there. He's high A. It's going to be a minute before we see him anyway. But
Yeah. I'd be surprised if we saw Blake Mitchell playing for the Royals in the big leagues. I do think Jensen is probably going to be the next guy for the Royals, and you can get a backup catcher pretty easily. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Blake Mitchell in a trade this offseason, even just because he seems like, again, not a huge high ceiling guy, but every team needs more catchers. So I think that's the Royals have a pretty good number of those. So I would be surprised if we saw him traded as early as this offseason. But it is odd to see that our top two prospects are both catchers.
And one of them is going to graduate very, very soon.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think that those two guys, they're pretty good. I think the Royals do have some prospects that are, decent in the minor league. So it's really just a question of how much they, how much they can reload that farm system.
I guess that would be my question because, like, they just had, I mean, they have generational talent at shortstop. Mikael Garcia had a true breakout season. He's 25. They just extended him for the next, 7 years or something like that?
I think it was 5.
Something, but like they have him for a minute. They just had, oh my goodness, who were we just talking about? Jesus Christ. Carter Jensen.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the reinforcements, though. So, like, how comfortable are you with it's that core plus whatever free agents you can come up with?
Mm-hmm.
And they just had, like, Noah Cameron just graduated. They just had Caglione, who did not look good. By the way, Dan hates Jack Caglione. More to that to come. But are you at least a little bit, like, nervous that if it does go, if there's like if Bobby Witt goes down in April, what's the reinforcements are free agents at this point?
Yeah.
Or do you feel different?
Well, the reinforcements are here, and I think that the having a good farm system is kind of a double-edged sword because you have a good farm system, all these players develop, and then they're not in your farm system anymore. And you now have to have a new farm system. So I think we saw this with the Royals, 10, 12 years ago, had a great farm system. Well, then all those players came up, and the Royals won the World Series, and then they didn't have a good farm system anymore. So it's a little bit of a kind of it's you have a good farm system, and then you don't. The idea of having a good farm system is to ultimately not have those players in the minor leagues anymore. So it's definitely somewhat concerning. And I mean, look, the Royals have not evaluated talent that well across their history. I hope that Piccolo's been in charge for a couple years now, and it seems like he's maybe had some more hits than the previous administration, but it is what it is. And these guys who you take in the MLB draft, they're such lottery tickets anyway.
Yes.
But I don't know. We'll see what happens, and of course, prospects get reevaluated throughout the season, and I could, I imagine that we'll probably see some more Royals get promoted to the top 100 at some point. But you never know.
Right. No, and I think that's fair, and that is true about farm systems. Is that once you graduate, your two best prospects, it really does damage what. And also, I could make the argument. I do think it's pretty sad that the Twins blew up their entire team at the trade deadline, and they do not have more than 5 top 100 prospects on this list. Now, that doesn't mean that their entire farm system is a failure or that they're not solid. I do think they have a very good farm system. It's Walker Jenkins and, like, Kalen Culpepper. And after that, it's like a drop-off, and then you just have solid prospects. They have a lot of solid prospects.
A team is made up of a lot of solid players.
Right.
So.
And, like, that's very hard to judge. And, like, that's maybe where the Royals are at. But, like, I have long-term concerns over the Royals starting pitching. Like, Waka has a lot of miles. Seth Lugo, I know he's been a reliever, but, like, he's 35. They have Bubic for another year. You have Reagans for another 2. and then you have Noah Cameron for 5. Who Noah Cameron looks like a guy. Like that's someone you can depend on. Like write his name in. But I do kind of worry. The Royals have not been good for so long that to not have at least a deep stock of a farm system past what's like, and then you have your major league. It's basically this crop of talent or bust. And I guess that's what really kind of worries me about the Royals. But I don't know how you feel.
I mean, that's always what it is for the Royals.
Sure. Dan, you had a finger.
Yeah, thank you. I've been trying to remember. This is in the back of my head as we were talking about the Royals. I remember hearing about this during Rule 5 draft time. I found the details that I was looking for. Now, I'll preface this with all teams blow first round picks all the time. That happens. But I look at Kansas City's first round picks the last couple of years. I'm not going to worry about Sean Gamble and Josh Hammond, who they took this year. It's super early for them. So moving on. Caglione in 2024. I already spoke not so glowingly about him up front. It's way too early to tell with him regardless. Blake Mitchell, we just talked about because he's on the prospect list. The next two are the ones that I wanted to mention. Gavin Cross is an outfielder the Royals took in the first round in 2022. Frank Mozzicato, they took in 2021, a left-handed starting pitcher. Neither of those individuals were protected in the Rule 5 draft. So the Royals opted to leave those two first-round picks unprotected, and nobody took them.
Yep.
So consensus is that those guys, it doesn't look good, right? So when you talk about reinforcements, there's two that have already kind of not made it to the battle, to continue that analogy. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the Royals have missed on a lot of first-round picks over the years. So let's not you go back to their pick in 2020, Asa Lacy can't stay healthy, can't pitch above like Double-A. He was the 4th overall pick in 2020. So, your point is taken. I think the only thing I would add to that is that, you can, the draft in any sport is a crapshoot,
Right?
And especially in MLB, you're not going to see these guys for several years. I just wonder if, sometimes you do have players who come up later in their career, but I just would say for the Royals, it's very much a win now team.
Right.
And if you don't win now, you're probably not going to win 3-4 years from now. So it's time to, to push the chips into the center of the table.
Right. And I think this is really like the longer discussion with the Royals, because like I am pretty high on the Royals this year. Because if you're talking hierarchy, I will still say, even though the goddamn Guardians want to keep winning the division, I still think the Tigers are the best team on paper. The Guardians keep telling me otherwise with actual results. But like, it's a fight between the Tigers and the Guardians, but like the Royals have a real shot of winning this division. They've made some nice moves around the edges. They've filled in absolute black holes in their lineup. But what concerns me is like when I'm looking at the list, and like granted, this is one list and it's prospects, and that in itself is flammable. If you're looking for long-term success, it doesn't seem like at least the high-end depth for the Royals is there right now. And like that does concern me, because then you're relying on an already aging or near free agency starting rotation, which is their absolute strength. Like maybe the best in the division strength. But that might go away. That might evaporate in front of our eyes this year. If they trade Bubic, and they might get a good prospect in return. They might get a good return for that. I don't want to cancel that out. But like, Waka is 33, but he has a lot of innings for a 33-year-old. Lugo, I know, was a reliever, but like, he's still 35. There are some concerns, but they also have, sorry, Dad, the best player in the division, Maikel Garcia, a true breakout season. Like, there's a lot to like for the Royals, but I also kind of wonder, like, is this a flash?
I mean, yeah, I don't disagree with you. And I think the thing for me is that you never know when it's going to happen. So again, I'm glad that they're making moves in such a way that signals to me that they're serious about winning. I think right now the Royals are kind of in we need one more thing
Right.
this offseason. We need one more piece to really put the Royals over the edge. So who knows what that's going to end up being? If it's going to be a trade, you know, if it's going to be a free agent, those are getting pretty slim.
Yeah.
But I think it's we're in Columbo time. We're in one more thing mode. So I think it's time to go out and get somebody.
Right. It's going to be trade right now because,
Yeah.
like you said, free agency is pretty.
It's
pretty
either
over.
Harrison Bader or a trade.
Which honestly, Harrison Bader had a really nice. Harrison Bader had a really nice year, and I say this
can do a lot worse than him.
right. Like, am I going to give him a 5-year deal? Absolutely not. But like, I'll give him a 2-3 year. Like, Sir Anthony Dominguez just got $20 million from the White Sox, and that was fine. Bader can get a decent size. So I don't know. Like, there's still guys to get. Also, Harrison Bader would be like Isbell. Maybe I'm just we've probably Sam, you weren't here for this, but we've mentioned Kyle Isbell as like the standard poor hitting center fielder, good defensive player as like the model throughout this entire episode.
Yeah.
Him and Bader in the same outfield would be kind of fun.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and I think the other thing is you got two lefties in the outfield in Caglione and Isbell. Right. So you obviously they got Lane Thomas, who's a righty. You got Isaac Collins, who, he was a 27-year-old rookie last year. So he would be an obvious candidate to, have a sophomore slump. But I think for me, from what I've seen, I think this team, the Royals, could win, I think they could win 90-plus games and challenge for the division. And I also think they could disappoint and have another, 80-win year. So, I mean, it's getting time to kind of get more serious about the upcoming season. But I've got a little bit of confidence that they're gonna challenge for a spot in the playoffs this year. So.
Yeah. I think that's fair. So I think just to wrap it up, because shockingly, we've gone over 2 hours again. Somehow, over prospect talk, we've somehow done it. Sam, this might be difficult for you to answer, but Dan, Lee, and Sam, you can also chime in. You have one prospect out of everyone we covered that you're really excited about. Any team that you could pluck and put in your system or your own system, who do you want to go with? And Dan's thinking about it. Lee, you're thinking about it. Sam, do you have an idea of who you would like, or do you want? I can answer this too.
I think honestly, if I were looking at the current crop of prospects, I think McGonigal seems like the most kind of can't miss guy right now.
I think that's fair. He's the number 2 global prospect to MLB.com. That's absolutely a fair pick.
Mm-hmm.
Dan and Lee, do you need a second to think about it?
Yeah, I need a second.
Okay, so I'm going to openly admit that this is an overreach. But I am almost enamored with Kalen Culpepper. And I don't mean that because I think he's going to be like the best shortstop that has ever happened to the league and all of that. I think one of the biggest weaknesses in the Twins infield is shortstop. And Culpepper can be a plus offensive player and at least a decent, like a standard shortstop in the majors. I feel like when you're and Brooks Lee is fine. I like Brooks Lee as a player. just not as a starting shortstop. You put Brooks Lee as your fifth infielder, I like him a lot. But Culpepper just seems like he is the type of guy that can hit 20 home runs a year, can steal 20 bags, will do it kind of quietly. But I do like Culpepper as an upgrade for Lee, so Lee can now be a backup to everyone else. And that's where I really like him. So, like, this is more of a team building move than anything. Because I certainly think Walker Jenkins in the Twins system has the most upside, but the player I think could have the biggest impact as the team as a whole is Kalen Culpepper. So after my diatribe, also you guys can make fun of me. Dan and Lee, is that bullshit?
I think it's a little much, but no, he's an exciting player. You have the right to be excited about him.
I'm more enthused that Eric is actually going for some of the touchy-feely stuff with a ball player, and so I'm all for it. I like it.
That's right. He's such a leader. That's really what it's about. It's that leadership ability.
Does he have a 70 clubhouse grade?
I mean, probably a 90. And it's only an 80 grade chart. So Dan or Lee, do you have an answer?
If I want to reach, I'd reach for Ralphie Velasquez. I'm not going to do that. The Minnesota Twins brought in a former Cleveland Indian into their coaching staff this past year, a guy by the name of Grady Sizemore. Part of me wonders if perhaps that was to help mentor another young potential center fielder with a lot of tools in Walker Jenkins. I think Walker Jenkins could be really good for a really long time if things go well. So he would be my pick. Guy that can do it all, play center field. Part of the question was to put on your team. Man, could this Cleveland Guardians team use a center fielder? So I'm putting that in part of my reasoning too. But I think he has the potential to be a great one for sure.
All right, and Lee.
I mean, as much as I'm not going to choose my own team because I don't want to do that. I really like Braden Montgomery. I don't know what it is, but just looking at how he shot up through the minor leagues last year and how just consistent he was throughout those leagues. And his defense might not be a center fielder, but he could be a really good corner outfielder. I don't know. I think he's a really interesting player.
I like Colson. I like the other Montgomery more, but I don't think you're wrong. I think Colson Montgomery has the higher upside, but that's also because we've seen him and he was awesome for half a year. But no, I think that's fine. I think he's certainly he has a wider range of outcomes, but that's prospects, and we're dreaming on prospects.
Yeah.
So I think that's completely fine. So in an entire episode, we have spent 2 hours and 7 minutes on players who, I mean, hopefully they have Hall of Fame careers, but let's just hope when they have 5 combined All-Star games. That's really what all prospects are about. I really love prospect talk. Thank you everyone who is at the 2 hour and now 8 minute mark for listening. And we will, I guess you've already listened to our previous episode because we're dropping this after another meta moment. But yeah, thank you all for listening and hope you enjoyed.